tomorrow we will have the full voting for the top 5 athletes in Philadelphia sports over the last 25 years. And everyone here at WIP is sending us their lists, and I'm seeing them, and there's a lot of names in there, and it's kind of parsing between a lot of Eagles, but also a lot of Phillies. And we haven't gotten to the Phillies list yet. So today felt like the right day to get into the Phillies list. 215-592-9494. And every list is so different. Like the Eagles list, it was like, do I put any quarterbacks? Do I put the longest tenured players? The Sixers list we talked about yesterday was like, oh my goodness, can we even come up with 5? Al unveiled his Flyers list for us on Monday. But the Phillies list was interesting because it felt easy, and then it wasn't quite as easy for me. So I started here, and I'll give you my list and want to hear yours and everyone else's. 215-592-9494. I started here with mine. Five best Phillies over the last 25 years. I started with this. The big 4 had to be there. I couldn't make the list with leaving 1 or 2 of them off on the Phillies list. Now, which ones make the overall list? That's a different story. But my list started with the big 4 from the 2008 team, and then I had to figure out who was the 5th guy. So my list goes as follows. Number 1, Chase Utley. He was my favorite player on that team, and I thought he was the best player. I know a lot of people disagree with me over that. Whatever. I thought Utley was the best player on the 2008 Phillies and for that run. Number 2 is Jimmy Rollins. Now, he has the element of the longevity, the records. He started it. I mean, you think back, Jimmy Rollins was here in 2001, like with Larry Bowa, and then he spanned all the way to the middle of the next decade. Champion, borderline Hall of Famer, MVP. He's number 2. Number 3 is Ryan Howard. I actually think we've begun to forget how great Howard was because we watched the end, and it was like, but the peak was amazing, and he was an MVP, and he was a huge part of it. Number 3, Ryan Howard. My 4th Philly of the last 25 years is Cole Hamels. He was a World Series MVP. I almost thought he got overshadowed because they brought in other great pitchers, Roy Halladay and Cliff Lee, but he did it for a long time. He did it at a super high level, and he brought the Phillies their best moment of the last 25 years. Cole Hamels, number 4. And then at number 5, it was hard because I think you could go with peak player, right? Roy Halladay was probably the best player for a 2-year stretch maybe we've ever seen in the last 25 years. You could go with a guy right now that is dominating in Kyle Schwarber. You could go with Bryce Harper, who obviously did a lot to change the franchise and won an MVP and Bedlam at the bank. But I landed on Zach Wheeler because of all the other options for number 5, Wheeler to me was the best combination of dominance in the regular season, longevity, it's been 6 years now, and October greatness. He's the only one to me that has all of those things, and I think he's been better regular season-wise overall than Bryce Harper. I went with Wheeler. Look, Nola also has a case. I mean, you can make a case for a lot of guys at number 5, but my Phillies 5 over the last 25 years. Utley 1, Rollins 2, Howard 3, Hamels 4, Zach Wheeler number 5. Kyle, your 5 Phillies of the quarter century.
Yeah, that was a fine list, Joe.
It was the accurate list.
Well, it wasn't. I had the same top 4 as you, just a little bit of a different order. Ryan Howard was my favorite player from that run. Then I went Chase Utley, then Jimmy Rollins. Totally with you on Cole Hamels. But you made one glaring error when crafting this list, Joe. Bryce Harper deserves an automatic spot on everybody's top 5 list of the Phillies of the last quarter century. He is the face of this era of Phillies baseball. We have 2 good eras, 2 great eras, I should say, of Phillies baseball in the last quarter century, and the top 4, I think, should appropriately be filled with those guys from that era, the Hamels, Utley, Rollins, Howard, those guys. But whether or not you want to say Zach Wheeler and Kyle Schwarber have been better lately than Bryce Harper, whether you like it or not, all of the success, all of the failures of this era of Phillies baseball will ultimately, when we look back, be on the shoulders of Mr. Bryce Harper. I mean, they just will. We do this with, look, Jalen Hurts, he's the face of this era of Eagles football. McNabb was the face of that previous era of Eagles football. We put all the failures, a little bit on Andy Reid, but mostly they fall on Donovan McNabb. The Sixers, Allen Iverson, we love that team, but they didn't go over the hump, but everybody liked that era of Sixers basketball. That goes to Allen Iverson. This one, we're all angry with the Sixers right now. We'll get to the Embiid stuff later, but it's Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid wears the brunt of everybody's ire when it comes to how we evaluate this era of Sixers basketball. And the same is going to be said, 10 years, we have Bryce Harper for a while here under contract. We're going to look back And this is all going to end up, whether it's right or wrong, it's going to end up on the shoulders of Bryce Harper. And that's leaving out the biggest part, maybe, about the whole Bryce Harper thing. He has been great here. He won an MVP for us. And, man, I just think too many people have soured on that 2022 run and what Bryce Harper did during that run. That was one of the most fun months I've ever had watching Philly sports just in general. And I think Bryce Harper was the catalyst in that postseason run. So I don't want people to sour on that team and Bryce Harper and this era of Phillies baseball in the way that I see it trending. Bryce Harper should be on everybody's top 5 list. Everybody.
All right. See, to me, the issue is the automatic thing. That's not existing anymore for me. Not the auto. Look, if you have Bryce Harper on your top 5 Phillies last quarter century, I don't think it's crazy. I agree with a lot of actually what you said there, especially how he kind of turned this thing around. Right? He was the first person to sign here, and then the trade for Real Muto, and all this happened, and they signed Wheeler and all that. And then they signed Schwarber. I mean, this thing changed with Bryce Harper. Yep. I agree with that. But it's not automatic anymore. A couple things. Number one, he has an MVP. But is it fair to point out that his MVP season came in a mediocre year? Not for him. He was great. But, the Phillies were 500 that year. He has an MVP, but it wasn't even on one of their better teams. And his best play in his career wasn't even here. He was better as a National than he was as a Philly. That's just been the reality. His best ever year was with the Nationals over the Phillies. And yes, he's got great moments, but he hasn't been better here than Zach Wheeler. He just hasn't. Maybe more important to the whole operation because he signed here, but he hasn't been better than Wheeler. And I would say over the last year, his perch has fallen from even being the best player on the team.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. Zach Wheeler's been better, for the last few years. Kyle Schwarber's definitely been better this year. And I think people more universally like Kyle Schwarber and Zach Wheeler around here than they do Bryce Harper.
Certainly less frustration with those guys.
Right. But all that is to say, that sort of goes to what I'm saying is that Bryce Harper, it's just like we do with Jalen Hurts. When the team loses, it falls on Jalen Hurts. When the team wins, everybody props up Jalen Hurts. The same thing happens with Bryce Harper. We're all just so frustrated with the Phillies right now that I think people are too down on Bryce Harper, and they're not able to sort of zoom out and just look at what he's meant to this era of Phillies baseball. Now, the Phillies didn't immediately become contenders when they signed Bryce Harper.
Right, it took 4 years.
Right, yeah. But that's not how baseball works. And you're right, the 2021 MVP, it wasn't the greatest year for MVP candidacy, but I don't even think that's his best moment as a Philly. His best moment as a Philly came in the postseason, yep. That dominant run that he had. I remember sitting there watching Bryce Harper every time he came up to the plate, and I was like, this man might be when he was locked in, I was like, he might be the best hitter I've ever seen. That was how far I dove headfirst into that Phillies run and what Bryce Harper was doing. It was amazing to watch. And I implore everybody to not let yourself sour on the 2022 team. And everyone's upset with the 23 team, the 24 team, but the 22 team almost stands alone for me. That was such a fun run. That might end up being the pinnacle of this era of Phillies baseball. And that was fun. I know everyone's upset about it, but stop. That lands on Bryce Harper. I think everybody needs to have one spot reserved for one guy in this era, and that's Bryce Harper.
No, see, the automatic thing, I can't do that. 215-592-9494. All right, at the risk of being called a hater, I need to point out some facts here, okay?
Oh, great.
And before I say this, I want to say I'm being consistent because I don't push Jalen Hurts higher up list than I believe he deserves only because of the playoffs, only because of the Super Bowl, which I think some people do, right? Yep. I think it's got to be everything. May I point out just some facts about Bryce Harper's career? Okay, well, I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm not trying to tell you he hasn't been important to the franchise. Obviously, the signing was imperative, and I think it was worth it. I'm so glad he's here. This is his 7th season with the Philly. We've watched him play in an All-Star game one time. 7 seasons, 1 All-Star game he has played in. Yeah, he could have played in a second one. He had broke his thumb in San Diego, so it would have been 2. 2 out of 7. This is 7th year with the Phillies. He's going to hit 30 home runs in a season twice. I don't think he's going to hit 20 more home runs the rest of the way. So that means in 7 years, he's going to hit 30 home runs 2 times. In 7 years, he's going to finish top 5 for MVP once. That was the year he won it. He's been very good, but when you say automatic, that means great. And I don't feel like for 7 years he's been consistently great. He's had great moments. He's had one great season. He's been great, totally great in October. But 7 years?
Yeah.
One top 5 MVP finish? One time I got to watch the All-Star game with him in it? Those are facts.
But all right, but you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the conversation that a lot of us have with Jalen Hurts on the Eagles. Now, the Eagles are Super Bowl champions, so it makes it a little bit easier. But Jalen Hurts, I think, deserves an automatic spot in everyone's top 5 Eagles the last quarter century. Like, while he might not be the best player on the Eagles, might not even be a top 5 best player on the Eagles, I didn't put him in my top 11 list because I thought there were a lot of Eagles right now that are just better players than him. But Jalen Hurts is, whether everyone likes it or not, is the face of this era of Eagles football.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
He just is. And like I think you won't find a single soul out there that would leave Jalen Hurts off the top 5 Eagles the last quarter century. Jalen Hurts, I feel like for a lot of people, gets an automatic bid on everyone's top 5. Bryce Harper should be the same. Whether Wheeler and Schwarber have been better than him or not, whether you want to talk about how many MVPs he's won. I mean, Jalen Hurts has been to what, 1 Pro Bowl? Right? He does have the Super Bowl MVP, but like we're not talking about just years and years of dominance from Jalen Hurts. We don't get that with Bryce either. But Jalen Hurts is the face of the Eagles. He gets on everyone's top 5. Bryce Harper is the face of this era of Phillies baseball. He should be on everybody's top 5.
No. 215-592-9494. That's how you hop in. Are your Phillies top 5? Last quarter century, who were the 5 best Phillies? And really, it comes down to this. Because I think, man, I could be wrong, but I think most people are going to have the 4 faces of the 07 to 11 run on the list in some order. I think. Well, maybe some people won't, but I think they're all going to be there. So who gets that 5th spot? And is Bryce Harper automatic? Like I understand Kyle's point. I'm not saying if you have Bryce, you're crazy. I mean, Bryce obviously has been an amazing player for the Phillies and done a lot here. But the automatic thing, I can't do automatic based on what he's provided here for the Philadelphia Phillies. All right, Fran, what do you got for us? Fran, your top 5, and is Bryce Harper an automatic for you?
So I'm going to start with Utley. Go Utley. Going to go Howard, J-Roll. I think I'm going Cole 4.
Okay.
Going Cole 4. I think I'm going Wheeler.
Come on, Fran.
Fran and I are aligned here. These are baseball guys.
Look, it's a toss-up between Wheeler and Bryce. Wheeler's got the playoff numbers too, man. I know Bryce has Bedlam, but Wheeler's got historic playoff numbers. And the dominance he's had in the last 5 or 6 years. Bryce has missed time, by the way. He's been injured. So, I can see the argument for Bryce, but I guaranteed spot now. I like Wheeler 5.
This is unbelievable.
You know what? Let's throw one more fact in. 7 years here. Bryce Harper's going to play in 150 games in a season once.
Sound like a hater.
Well, no, these are facts. I mean, you point out facts, people get upset. These are the facts. All right, let's go to the phone lines here. Your Phillies top 5 of the quarter century. And really, does Bryce Harper deserve an automatic spot? That's where I push back. Automatic means like Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins. Jimmy Rollins deserves an automatic spot. However you rank your favorite Phillies from that era, he's the all-time hits leader. He was here for a decade and a half. He's an MVP and a World Series. That's automatic. Bryce Harper, it's not automatic.